Well, first off, I don't have any competition because I'm chasing a dream, and there is no competition there. So
Hell
it's
yeah.
like I'm kind of in my own lane with that one. I mean, you guys are going to do your own thing over there towing, and I'm going to do my own thing over here.
That was Tommy Foster, owner of Nerd Towing. Nerd Towing's been serving Tacoma, Washington and the surrounding area since 2014. They provide exceptional roadside and towing assistance with honesty, kindness, and safety. Their fleet continues to build strong relationships through careful handling and friendly service. With Nerd Towing, your car will be loaded with confidence and carried with pride. Welcome to the Iron Mind Podcast. Join me, Josh Brumley, as we explore the minds of those who've forged their paths through legal battles, business triumphs, and creative conquests. We uncover the stories behind their iron wills and innovative minds. Get ready for thought-provoking conversations, practical insights, and actionable advice. This is the Iron Mind Podcast. Welcome to the show, Tommy. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, man, you came straight from your tow truck
Oh, yeah, I parked there just a few minutes ago.
where it's like 82 degrees right now and your heater is broken and stuck on,
And
and
it's,
you came right into the podcast room. So
yes,
I appreciate that dedication. That's a testament to who you are as a business person. I really appreciate you being here. So tell us a little bit about Nerd Towing.
okay. Well, I'm Tommy, and I'm from Tacoma. Started nerd towing by myself in 2014. It's pretty much the only job I've really ever had. I never worked for anybody. And let's see, I just started it by myself doing work for people here and there. And then it slowly over time grew to multiple guys, multiple team members. And then now I've got an awesome team. My wife has joined me as my business partner, just right along with life partner. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
it's awesome there. I couldn't do it without her and the rest of the team, but she's a big staple to it.
Yeah.
We don't we try to do everything we can to help in the situations. It's everybody's motivated about certain things. I mean, yeah, money's great, but I never went after the money. It was always when somebody hops in the passenger seat and was like, "Hey, thank you." That means a lot to me.
Yeah.
And so, I've got a lot of guys that have been doing towing for 25 years on my team, and man, they could go anywhere, but
Right.
they chose to be where they are. And sometimes we don't get the best pay.
Mhm.
Sometimes we have the kind of the crappy end of the stick, but we have a lot of happy customers. And at the end of the day, since we don't do any impounds, nobody hates us.
Yeah.
It's like, even if you parked in the wrong spot and they towed your car, it's your fault, but you still hate them.
Yeah.
So
telling you,
it's
yeah.
totally different when they don't ever hate you and you just are there to help.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. You said off camera, you said you have 7 drivers right now? No, 7 trucks.
Yep.
And a team of about 10 people.
Yes.
Why do you think if they could go anywhere, why do they work for you? What makes Nerd Towing better than its competition?
Well, first off, I don't have any competition because I'm chasing a dream, and there is no competition there. So
Hell
it's
yeah.
like I'm kind of in my own lane with that one. I mean, you guys are going to do your own thing over there towing, and I'm going to do my own thing over here. So I'm not going to say that I'm better than anybody, but I know that the environment that I want to instill, that my wife and I try to create, is more than just being a job. It's more about being part of a team. It's about being part of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you just started, your opinion matters to me, because it's like, you could be 3 days into towing and we're teaching you everything, but I'm still willing to learn something new from you.
Right.
And a lot of places when you go and have a job, I would assume, after 10 years, the owner or the boss is not willing to listen to the 3-day-old guy.
Right.
And so, I really value everybody on the team. You're not just a truck number. You're not just an employee. You're part of the team.
Yeah.
And so
So that value that
yeah,
you give
absolutely.
to the staff is a real big reason people stay and
Right.
people choose your business over others.
Definitely. So my wife and I 2 years ago went to a towing conference in Las Vegas. Who wouldn't want to go to Vegas?
Yeah,
Everybody's having
yeah.
fun there.
They have every conference in Vegas,
Exactly.
right? It's crazy.
And so we were in a class, and one of the instructors was asking questions about how this group of people, which is about 200 people in this room, most of them being owners or general managers, he's asking about his hiring process. And they were asking about the ratio of people that they do an interview with versus the people that they hire.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they were asking for people to raise their hand if they have a 50% and people to raise their hand if they have this. And we were at 100% at the time. We had never hired anybody. I mean, we had never done an interview that we didn't hire. And the reason why is because to even get to the interview process, I've already talked to you for a while. I've already communicated. You didn't just pick up the phone. You didn't just email
Walk
me.
in
Yeah,
and
you
drop
didn't
off
just
a resume.
Exactly. It's like it's not like that over there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, they said, well, what do you know, what's the formula? And I told them there's no formula. You can teach anybody. I could take you, Josh, and teach you to be a tow truck driver. But one thing I can't teach somebody to be is a good person.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if they're already a good person, they're going to fit.
Yeah.
I can teach you the rest.
Right.
And so a lot of companies, they hire anybody that will put their butt in the seat and hold the steering wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't work.
Right.
That's why their turnover rate is high. You know, and we've got drivers that have been with us. We've got one guy that's been with us for 7 years, you know, and so it's like that's 7, 6 years, 4 years, 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we've got
a lot
guys
of long time people there.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, what's up, buddy?
Sorry, the dog's just gonna keep pacing.
That's fine.
It's loud. There we go. All right, he's resting now. So there was a question that I had after that it struck me. When you're getting to know someone before they get that interview, how do you know, like, what makes a good person? How do you gauge that during the process of pre-interviewing? Like, what allows them to start the process with you?
Just naturally listening to what they talk about and how they hold themselves accountable and what their values are. And, you know, because you can have a conversation with somebody and not know them from anywhere. And in a few minutes, you kind of got an idea of the level of either intelligence or respect for others that they're going to have right away. And it might not give you all of it, but if you feel like that person is kind of genuine in that conversation and in a few moments, I mean, I'm ready to keep going.
Yeah.
If they're just kind of, I don't know, fake.
Mm-hmm.
Usually you can kind of gauge that.
You know, someone recently mentioned this to me, that during an interview, they say, they always ask in an interview, do you feel like you're lucky? And the answer to that question will be the most deciding factor on whether or not that person will be hired. Because if they say no, they're probably a pessimistic person who's going to bring a shit attitude to the team. And if they say yes, even if their life sucks, they feel lucky because they're an optimistic person. They're going to bring that attitude to the team.
Yeah.
And that is sense. A really good interview question. And I think about it a lot.
And I think that...
Do you feel like you're a lucky person?
To go against what you're just saying, I wouldn't say necessarily that I'm lucky, but I would say that I am blessed for the people and the love and the community that I have around me. Everything I have, I had to work for, so I wouldn't say that it came with it. I say it's all hustle, no luck.
Yeah,
you know, it's like there is no luck in that.
You're a hard
lucky
worker,
is hitting the
and
lottery.
You created that luck.
Yeah, lucky's hitting the lottery, and
yeah.
I always dream about winning it. But I never play it, so it's like I guess I'll never have that luck.
Yeah.
But I do understand what you're saying about, you know, if they say no, then they're kind of pessimistic versus being an optimistic person that's just like, hey, let's go. Yeah, heck yeah, I'm lucky, and I'm excited to go to the next thing and see what it brings. I mean, I guess, yeah.
Well, tell us, so what year did Nerd Towing start? What brought you to towing? How did you get into this life?
Well, officially, I started in 2014. And before that, I had started towing cars with like a trailer and a pickup truck. And it was a homemade trailer. And I definitely...
Timer?
This, unfortunately, is just a clock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But we've been going for about 10 minutes.
Okay.
I'll let you know when we're about 5 minutes out from 30.
Thanks.
You can start that over?
Yeah, you just restate the answer.
Okay, so officially, I started in 2014, but before that, I was towing for about 8 months with a trailer that was homemade. And my grandpa helped me with that trailer, and it just became, I didn't have a winch on it. I literally had a manual come along, and I was just ratcheting cars up on there. And I was only using it originally to go pick up cars for myself and bring them back to my shop and work on them.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually I was like, man, this is so much work. And I didn't want to spend the money on a winch because I felt like somebody was going to steal it off my trailer. And so I decided to just go to tow truck. I had never touched a tow truck until I bought one. I was like, you know what, I can figure this out. I figured everything else out in life. And and so I you know, honestly, I didn't know what I was doing. I bought it, and I just started going to work. And so for a while, I didn't know anything about business, and I didn't know that there was different license plates and stuff. Like, I didn't know anything about towing.
Mm-hmm.
I had never been into it. I didn't even know anybody in towing.
So you didn't have a mentor?
No.
You just were like, I need a tow truck for me. Let me learn how to
Absolutely
tow cars.
Yep. And I met a guy that definitely right away, when I first met him, before I bought that tow truck, I went in there to try and buy this big flatbed. And this big flatbed to me was just like, it was like everything. And I was like, man, I'm so in love with that truck. And I don't even know why I was in love with it. But it was way out of my range. And I didn't even know what credit was.
Yeah.
You know, I had no idea.
How old were you?
I was 25.
25.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I had no idea of how to try and get that. But I told him I want that. What do I need to do? And he was like, we need to pay me money. And I was like, okay. And he literally made a statement to me that actually at first insulted me. And it was, this truck? You want this truck? This truck will change your life. You're not ready for this truck.
Mm.
And at first I was like, do you not know who I am?
Yeah.
Like, F you, you old man. And he's probably only, right now he's like 53, 54. He ain't that old. And so at the time, 10 years ago, he's only in 43. And when he said that, I didn't want to hear anything more. Everything I saw was just red. I was just mad. But he told me after that, he was like, you don't need that truck because it'll change your life in ways that you're not ready for. You need this. And he showed me a little old crappy truck. And I didn't really want the little tiny thing that was wasn't a flatbed. And I'm like, I don't even like Chevys. And it was a Chevy. And I was like, oh, it's got like 400,000 miles. I'm like, dude, I don't want that. And so then I left. And I slept on it for like 2 days. And I couldn't get that out of my head. I was like, why did he tell me this? I was like, he doesn't know me from anywhere. And he told me I'm not ready for that. And then I went back to him and I says, I got to ask you, why did you say that? Because I can't stop thinking about it. And he smiled and he was like, this is why. You have to learn to walk before you can learn to run. And you can't buy a $50,000 truck and you don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
He was like, that's the worst decision ever. But if you buy this $10,000 truck, you can learn to outgrow it.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you start small and think big, then it's going to come naturally.
That's a very, very good mentor to stumble onto. Are you still in contact with that person?
Yeah. So look, I bought that truck and I left for like 3 days. I towed a car that day and I texted him and I said, dude, it fell off. Luckily, it was my own car.
Oh my God.
And he was like, well, that's your initiation. He's like, there's those that have dropped some and those that are going to drop some. So you better figure it out from here. What are you going to do? So a few days more went by and I called him and I says, hey, look, do you mind if I come around your place? And I just I'll work for free. I just want to learn and have a place that I can soak it up.
Ask questions,
absolutely.
Watch people who know how to do this stuff.
Yeah, and he doesn't have a tow company. He's into selling equipment. And he has a lot of tow trucks that was the most tow trucks I've ever been around. And so he had been dealing with trucks for about 20 years. And after like 2-3 days, every time I'd show up like I was hired. I'd beat him to the gate. I'd be the last one to leave. I'd be like, hey, I'm down to keep working.
Yeah.
No, I'm not asking for anything. And he smiled at me and he was like, you're like a nephew I never had. He's like, from now on, I'm going to call you nephew. I was like, all right. All right. So to this day, I still talk to him every day. That's my uncle to me. And his brother, I met him right away. He was an uncle to me as well. His brother was actually into towing and he wasn't into selling trucks. He had a towing company himself. And so with the two of them, they were now my mentors.
Hmm.
And they themselves had to learn the hard way as well. But there's a lot of things that I had to learn the hard way because my vision was much bigger and much different than theirs. You know, the brother, he wanted to have one truck, which was fine. I wanted to have 50 trucks.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
he didn't want an actual location. He wanted to keep it simple and easy, which makes sense because it's like at the end of the day, you don't have to worry about an employee calling you and saying they messed something up.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I was like, I think I want the smoke,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And so with that, I probably bought 20 trucks from my uncle over time.
Wow.
And he probably bought 20 trucks from me. And now it's like he's been doing this since 93. And I ask him questions and he asks me questions because we're still, I mean, you can still teach an old dog new tricks.
Right.
And he's been a huge part of the growth of this. So to know that it started with that and it's grown to where it's at. I mean, I went for 6 years as I had one employee, but I only had one truck. And so he would work during the day and then I'd work all into the night.
Mm-hmm.
And then after 6 years, right around when COVID hit, I had picked up a second truck. And that second truck I'd keep busy during the day as well because I've landed myself as a subcontractor with another company. So we were just keeping busy doing that stuff. But then I asked my wife because things started to pick up and I'm like, I have two trucks from one truck for each of my drivers. And now I have one truck for myself. I was like, I need to think bigger. How can I scale this?
Right.
And so I asked my wife, like, can you step away from your day job? And she worked in the vet industry in the ER. And she worked, I mean, that was a career,
Mm-hmm.
you know, went to college for it and did all that. And, you know, she was there from the beginning of me starting this company. We've been together for 14 years now. And like I said, I've been in business for 10. So she'd been there before that. And so at this time, I'm like, what does it take for you to step away? And she told me what it took. I said, put it in 2 weeks. Because now it's time to really, really try. And so in that first year of us working together, we scaled from the 3 trucks that we had to 16 trucks.
Wow.
And I had like a dozen employees. We realized we had too many trucks. Some of them were projects that we were just like, hey, they're not really making sense. Let's scale it back a little bit. And then consistently stayed with 12 trucks for a while. And so we just got on with all the insurance companies, all the motor clubs, all of the wrecking yards, bought out another company that had a contract that was pretty big, and just kind of moved it all under Nerd.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it was major. It's been nothing but a lot of work ever since. It's like, you think that starting a business is simple? Oh no, it's not simple, and you're not gonna clock out.
You're not going to clock
You're
out.
not.
Say it again, because people who run their own business need to hear that.
Oh yeah,
Man,
you
it's
do not. And sometimes you get paid less than your employees, and it's like it all looks great from the outside.
people think there's status with that, but there's a lot of work that goes into
It's
it.
more work than you can ever describe, and
Yeah.
it's like if you take a W-2 employee, W-9, whatever you want to call them,
Mm-hmm.
and you put them in the shoes of an owner for 1 week, their head will blow off. My wife goes through 70 phone calls minimum a day by 1 o'clock.
That's crazy.
And that's starting at like 7:30 a.m.
AM.
Yeah. And because she is an account manager, and the drivers all call her to verify their cars before they tow them.
Mhm.
And so it's like, it's a lot of work to do that. But is it worth it? It's all in here. Is it worth it to you? You know, it's like everybody's going to have different worth and different values. And to me, I see that I took 3 of my friends that had no license, no nothing. They didn't have any skills. They were on the couch playing video games. We got them their license. We got them, a car, got them a job, and got them off the couch. And
Now
You
you
know?
got them a career. And
Exactly.
these are friends that
It's
you
like
get to work with every day.
they
now.
know how to fish.
Yeah.
They really know how. They could go anywhere in the country and have a job and know that they're going to be able to do it the right way. And so that to me meant a lot more than just hiring any randoms, even though that over time, yeah, you hire randoms and you become family right away.
Mm-hmm.
But the vision that we have was so much more than just the money. It was about the culture and the environment that we can create, and that to me meant a lot. And then a couple years ago, I wound up at a friend's house working on his place, and he tells me that he's got a friend that's a lawyer. He tells me, hey, it's a Sunday. Maybe he can come over and talk to us. And I say, a Sunday? What kind of lawyer's coming over here on a Sunday? An hour later, here you are. And
Working on a weekend.
Yeah, we're talking about some things. And you tell me what you do, and I tell you what I do. And all of a sudden, it's been, 3 years?
We're still family, bro.
Yeah, and it's
I love it.
And now, it's like I don't even think about anybody else when it comes to your line of work. I just already know that, hey, we already work together.
Yep. I love that, man. I love that. Tell us, how did you come up with the name Nerd Towing? What's the history of the name?
So when I was probably 20, I always had this dream of growing up to be a shop owner. I was always into race cars, and not real like drag race like NHRA or something, but like take a Honda, build it up, tuner cars, and so I wanted to have a racing shop that all we did was build stuff. We learned to design and make new things, and so originally my mind was like, hey, let me think of an acronym that's gonna be creative, and I want it to be the name of the shop, and it originally was New Era Racing Development. And then, I lived in Tacoma, and I was just operating a business out of my house that wasn't a business legally because I didn't have a business license, but I had the name. I just didn't use it. And so I was just making legitimate money unlegitimately, I guess. And the city came by and was like, hey, what are you doing here? And I says, I'm working on my friend's cars. And they were like, yeah, you got a business license for this? I was like, no. This is over by the Bass Pro Shop in Tacoma. And so I says, no, I don't have one. They were like,
72nd Tacoma Mall Boulevard.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hosmer.
Hosmer.
Yeah.
That Denny's is the craziest Denny's anyone will go to
Absolutely.
in their life.
And I live 3 blocks from there.
Oh, man, that Hosmer Denny's.
Yes. So I went and got the business license, and I put it on the wall. I did a little bit of homework that tells me, hey, you got to hang it on the wall in the place of business.
Yeah.
So, okay. And so then 2 weeks go by. This same guy comes back around. The code enforcement comes back around. He's like, hey, what are you doing? Like he never talked to me before.
And you're like, bro, I got it on the wall. It's right here.
Yeah.
I hung it. See?
And he says, this isn't the right zoning for this. You can't. This is residential. You can't run a business from here. You have a tow truck sitting out here. You got 30 cars sitting at your house. I'm like, what do you mean I can't run a business? They're like, no. So I moved out of Tacoma, and I never really found a place that I could run the auto shop. So, excuse me. So I just gave up on that, didn't really care, because at the time, it was easier for me to pick the car up and drop the car off to somebody else. Mm-hmm. And so then every day it became, hey, you got 1 call. Now you got 6 calls. Now all of a sudden you got 15 calls of people want you to pick it up and drop it off, pick it up and drop. I'm like, why don't I just do a towing company? And so I'm telling my wife, I was like, why don't we just restructure the business to be a towing company? And she was like, okay, well, you want to get a new name? I says, hell no. I want to keep Nerd because you can't go wrong with that. It's like, she was like, okay, so what is the acronym now? And I was like, New Era Recovery Division.
Ah.
And she was like, ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
And so that's where it started, and it's just been stuck with me ever since.
New era.
Yep, and it is kind of like a new era. It's like I go to all the towing companies, and they don't like shoo me away. Mm-hmm. I talk to them, I tell them I'll work with them. I like to be I'm a team player, and so that's kind of a new era thing. That's not the old school way. Old school way is competition. And I don't look at anybody like competition. I never have. Even on the back of my trucks, it says chasing a dream is not a competition. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, that doesn't matter to me. If you're making money, I am so happy. If you call me to do a job for you, cool. If we can make money together, let's do it. And great. I'm going to call you when I need to rely on you, which happens a lot.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I mean, heck, for 1 year, when I only had one truck, my very first year, my truck broke down and I didn't have the money to fix it. It needed like 20 grand and I didn't have 20 grand. So for an entire year, I continued to take phone calls and I sent another company. And I would just find another company. Hey, can you do this job? Yep, cool. So there you go. Just don't take the customer. And it worked out. And now here we are 10 years later and I'm still friends with that towing company. And it's like, you got another company, a small guy's business the entire year, and he never asked for anything. It's just respect.
Yeah.
And so I don't look at, to me, the new era means like we could all work together and we could all make money. We can all eat at the table together. And
we don't have to cut each other's throats.
Absolutely,
to
because
have dinner.
any of us could have 400 tow trucks and run 400 trucks every single day, and there's going to still be another tow company in your area.
Yep.
You know, and it's just like you could have 100 firms and you're still going to have other accident lawyers. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And so there's no getting around it. It's just accepting it and moving forward.
And you collaborate. Yeah.
I love to collaborate.
Yeah. It's fun, man. And so we only have a couple more minutes, but I definitely want to talk about something that I know is really important in the tow industry, just from being, car accident lawyer. Tell us what slow down, move over means.
Slow down, move over is a big thing. So that topic actually digs pretty deep. They say that one tow truck driver is killed on the highway every 6 days. Every 6 days. And so if we're out on the side of the freeway and we're just trying to make an honest dollar by loading this car, getting somebody off the freeway and getting them to safety, we just need a little bit of space. Just slow down your vehicle in that lane or move over, and if not both, just give us a quick second. I don't want to be out here playing on this freeway any more than you want me in your way. And what's 10 more seconds of your day to ensure that I don't die?
Yeah.
Because, we've had a couple of guys 2 years ago, we had 2 guys in the same year die in Washington State, right here on the I-5 corridor. And it was because of the negligence of nobody slowing down and moving over. And sadly, one of them was right in our backyard, which was right in Fife.
Wow.
So it hit home really tough. That is a huge thing to those companies that actually go out on the highway and they do those tows. That means a lot to them. And so I stand by it. I instill it in my guys. If we can, we'll pull it behind another truck. We'll block for them. And especially if we don't have anything on the back of our truck, we can be lights behind him. It'll help maybe save him, maybe it won't. And at the same time, it's like we're not trying to be superheroes, but sometimes you got to put yourself in a position where you could die.
Yeah.
And so
it's a very risky job, man. And I didn't know that statistic. One every 6 days passes away from a car accident like that. That's a very chilling fact.
It is.
So if people are listening, slow down, move over. Whenever you see a tow driver, just give them the space that they need to do their work safely.
Yeah.
That's the takeaway. Okay.
Definitely.
Well, man, do you have anything else to add? This has been a kind of impromptu thing.
It was very impromptu.
This has been really fun, though, and I think people can learn a lot about being an entrepreneur from you. They can learn a lot about the tow industry.
Absolutely.
But what's one thing you think everyone should know about your industry or about running a business? What final words here?
Don't be scared to do it. You'll never know what you can do if you don't try.
I love it. How can people follow you on social media?
You can follow me on Nerd Towing.
Instagram
at
and Nerd Towing.
Yep, Instagram and Facebook. You can get we got a website. Well, again, we're in Tacoma, and we go anywhere for you.
Statewide, but never for impound. Countrywide.
We have had a truck in LA. We have had a truck in Virginia. So you call, we'll haul.
I love it.
Yeah.
You call, we'll haul. All right, Tomy Foster, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.